If anybody touches that, arrest them, will you? Thank you. Welcome inside the atrium at the Worcester Convention Center. This is about as intimate as you want to get here in Worcester. And we hope that you at home are ready to go, and those stations that are simulcasting. Audience, are you ready? Are you ready? Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Heart. This may be, because there are so many people that would like to talk to you, this may be my one and only question up front, but this is a great 13th album, Desire Walks On, great album. And Avalon has a line in it about going back to where I belong, and I wonder if that's personally or musically or both.
It's very personal, intensely personal, that song.
Yeah.
It's about getting back to where you know you belong, back to authenticity, that type of thing. As life goes along, you tend to take side trips, and then you get yourself back on track and with the people you belong with, and that's basically what it's about.
Yeah, it's very personal.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you didn't choose that song just by accident, that it's a statement in itself, and so is the album. And
Yeah.
you must be surprised and delighted at the response that the album has had. People whose job
Yeah.
is to review, oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's very, very amazing after all this time that people still would, you know, sit up and listen. That's very, very lucky for us.
You don't take that audience for granted, do you? You have to go out there.
Oh, no way, no way.
What's your name? Where are you from?
Kelly Hill, and I'm from Whistler.
Very good. And who's the question for, and what's the question?
For the whole band, are you sleepless in Seattle?
We drink so much coffee in Seattle. We've slept since the 70s, I don't think.
Good answer.
I think my follow-up question is, the music scene in Seattle, is it vibrant as it was 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, it's actually...
Still so?
Yeah, I think it really is. It's kind of more vibrant in some ways. It's just snowballing.
Okay, we'll get to that as well. Okay, we're going to take a break. Watch for the numbers on the screen. We will come back to Worcester in just a couple of minutes. Stay with us. Thank you. We have Heart, intimate and interactive. We have had Speaker's Corner on the road for almost a week here in Whistler. It's been all over the valley, and we're going to take some questions from inside Speaker's Corner on the road. So listen to this.
Hi, I'm John Ruff from Rainy River, Ontario. And Hart, I'd like to ask you, what do you think about the Seattle sound?
And is there a Seattle sound?
The Seattle sound is alive and well. It's basically, it's kind of like a rock and roll gone back to its roots in many, many ways. I think it's real healthy coming out of the 80s to get back to something so kind of honest,
Yeah.
you know, less production and more kind of raw talent.
Right.
Okay, Angie is on the phone. Angie, where are you? You're in cyberspace. All right, we have, I'm just down talking to Soundgarden in Seattle, and they were just saying...
That's where you got all those bruises.
Thank you, yeah, it was tough.
That's where I got the bruises.
It was over at Sub Pop. And they were saying the same thing, how vibrant it was and how much they appreciated having a studio like Bad Animals in Seattle.
Yeah, it's a great place. Great place.
When you came back off the road after all of your tours in 1991, you wanted to reevaluate the music, is that right? Is this the result that Desire Walks On?
That's right, yeah. We went home and we sat down and we started writing our own songs more than we had been.
Mm-hmm.
And we built a studio, me and nails, hammers, you know, and
Look at
and
these hands.
it's turning into being really a wonderful spot for a lot of different artists to grow, which is kind of
There's a great
thing.
story here. By the way, they have a CD-ROM we're going to ask them about. You can span all 20 years of their career. What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Dominique, I'm from Montreal, and my question is, how it applies to the whole band, is how do they prepare mentally before each performance?
Whoa. Whoa. Scary.
Well, let's see. We get together first thing, and you know, physically that's the easy part, but mentally it's kind of more about what you did the night before, and
Yeah.
you know, like especially if the band hung out together, that's almost the best prep you can do for any show at all. You know.
Yeah, I
So
just think it's like trying to be calm before a show is what I have to do, because I tend to get really jumpy. and kind of grinding my teeth and stuff, and, oh, I'm gonna blow it, you know, and then you do if you talk yourself into it. So I have to just calm out and deep breathe and stuff like that.
And the age-old question is it the singer or the song?
It's the marriage.
It is the two.
It's both.
Angie from cyberspace, no, from Barrie, where are you? Are you there, Ange? She's still in cyberspace.
Somewhere on the mountain.
I have a question for Howard. Howard, you've been on the front line here since the mid-'70s, and I'd like to know, I'm going to put you on the spot, how much have they changed personally? Or have they?
So we're on the spot.
Yeah.
I don't think we've changed, or they've changed all that much. I think we've just, yeah. She made me say that. No, that's one of the reasons I think we're still around is because we're always consistent sort of in what we want to do, and we don't really follow the trends as much as just do what we feel comfortable with.
And speaking of trends, quick question here. You've survived punk, post-punk, disco, dance music, techno. And I was going to say bell bottoms, but you, they're back. They're back, so are the shoes. But as all those styles and trends went back, you stayed pretty well where you were. You knew what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the blessing and the curse of longevity, because a lot of trends come along and you think, gee, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But then as soon as you start being trendy, you're, well, you know what you are.
You're out the door.
You're gone real soon.
While we were away, we had a nice instrumental version of Angie. Angie, are you there?
Angie.
Yes, hi.
Yes! You beautiful. What's your question, Angie? Quick before we lose you.
Well, I've been a fan of punk for years. I love anything and everything that you guys have ever done. And I'm just wondering if the Love Mongers are ever going to have another album out soon.
Well, the Love Mongers have never had an album out yet.
Well, we had an EP.
Yeah.
But we've got a few more songs, but we're kind of on the road right now, but there's always room for everything, all the stars in the heavens, so we hope to do a Love Mongers album fairly soon, yes.
And as a matter of fact, 8 of the 11 songs off the album were co-written with Sue.
Sue Ennis, yes. She'll be joining us in a minute.
One of the mighty Love Mongers. What's the other spin-off band, the Faux-Hos?
Yeah, there's also a Faux Hose and a Wild Horses on the...
It's true.
But we haven't played too many shows yet.
But they're mostly benefits anyway. We'll get to that as well. We have a phone call. This is from Scarborough, Ontario. Who's on the line?
It's April.
Hi, April.
Hi.
What's your question and who's it for?
It's for anybody. I heard you're putting out a CD-ROM, and I was wondering why you chose this format over some other to communicate your history to your fans.
Well, because on CD-ROM there's there's over 20 hours of information you can put on a very small thing like this. So, plus you can learn, it's like an encyclopedia. It's interactive. It's very interactive and intimate.
You can also take the new album and play it on a CD-ROM machine as well if you just want to listen to the music and watch the pictures go by.
Right.
That's right.
It's hours of information.
Hours and hours of fun.
Mike in Moncton? No? Is he still there? Oh, yes. Let me go 7,000 feet up, directly behind the camera, way up to the peak of Whistler, where the storms are the fiercest. Mario took us up there, and we...
Man on the mountain.
And as a man on the mountain, listen to this question, but this is different about the man on the mountain. Listen to this one.
Hi, this is Kathy. We're here on the peak at 7,200 feet above sea level at Whistler Mountain. We've got
Joe E. Danger.
Scotty.
Juan Pablo.
Tim.
Okay, ladies from Heart, speaking as someone who's worked in a male-dominated profession, I can understand that maybe your role has changed over the years. How's it been over the last 15, 20 years in the business? How's it changed?
How's it been going over the last 10 or 15 years, gals? Well, some things are the same and some things have changed. I think it's gotten easier for women in the rock world, but it still is kind of, you have to really prove yourself, maybe harder, like the old thing that said that, you have to dance backwards in high heels, You have to do it better and backwards and in high heels, but we have come along. You know, I think there's more acceptance, and I think more people are willing to
Yeah.
take women musicians seriously now, which was the big problem.
Yeah, and same in life. You know,
Right.
people are just maybe starting to begin to almost take women seriously in life, too. But change is tough. Change takes a long time, you know.
Yeah, it's really a scary thing, too. It's kind of intimidating for
Yeah.
guys, I think, to think about women stepping up and being equal, because then what's he got, you know? That's
Just don't get us started on this topic.
Yeah, this is big. This is big.
So, you know,
I think
you could say that rock is like a little microcosm of the rest of life where the gender thing is concerned.
Kathy knew what she was doing when she set that in motion. This is a fax. Hart, we love you in the Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia. It's beautiful there. Dog and Butterfly sounds as good as ever. We would like to know when you're coming to the East Coast of Canada.
Tirana?
Nah. Nova Scotia, St. John's, New
really?
Brunswick.
East.
East.
Oh, we better get over
Any
there. eh?
plans?
Better get over there.
I don't know right now. And don't take it personally. We really want to go to Newfoundland. We were there about a year ago, actually, with our
Yeah.
family. So.
We went on a cruise and we went up there.
All right, let's go to
kinda
Moncton. Mike in Moncton, your question, please.
Yeah, you guys have worked with Mutt Lange, like with a couple of songs at least in the past, and I was just wondering what the connection was and if you'll ever actually produce an album with him.
Well, no, we've never produced, Mutt Lange has never produced Heart, but every time we're in the studio working on an album, by some force of magical osmosis, we get tapes from Mutt Lange, so, and they're always really cool songs, and we enjoy them. Everybody flips out, so we've done 3 of his songs now, and we're real happy that he chose us to send his tapes to.
All right. Now, an audience question. Anybody? Step forward. Oh, here's one. Let me just go over here. Hi. What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Tammy, and I'm from Calgary. I'm with CJ92. And I wanted to ask you, your music really touches my soul, and your voices have always touched my soul.
Thanks.
Which artists touch your soul right now?
Thank you. Neil Young.
Joni?
Joni,
Mitchell.
of course.
Joni
of course,
Mitchell,
yeah.
always.
Yeah. Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam. The new Soundgarden. It's really good.
Alice in Chains. You
Alice
know,
in
I mean,
Chains. So, you know, we know these guys, so we love them. You know, they're great people, too. So.
I have a question of the baby in the front row. How does he or she like the music?
Loves it. It's great.
Kicking. Kicking. I was going to say, gee, I wonder if that baby's in there alone. Otherwise, we got twins. What a workout. What a workout. We are intimate and interactive with Hart and Whistler. What's your name? Where are you from?
Moira, and I'm from Whistler,
Where'd you come from?
Ontario.
Okay. What's your question? Who's it for?
For the band, they have so much power on stage. I'm wondering how the sisters get along off stage.
Oh!
no.
Fight like cats and dogs.
I know for years and years people have been saying, don't you guys fight? Come on, don't you fight? Almost like they want us to fight, you know? I mean, we just don't have that kind of relationship. We talk about things, and if we get really mad at each other, maybe we're mad for a day, but then pretty soon we go, oh, come on over here, you know? Because we're a close family. We love each other, and we work things out. So things are okay between us, and as long as they are, I guess we'll be doing this. So.
Yeah, me too.
What's your name? Where are you from?
Steve from Mississauga.
Hey, you were this morning. We're in Vancouver, right?
This morning I was in Vancouver.
You heard us on the air?
I heard you on the air. You said come up and find somebody from Much Music and get a ticket, so we did.
It worked, just
worked.
like we said.
Yeah.
What's your question? Who's it
We
for?
had to sneak in the back door, though. I saw Hart at Summerfest at Empire Stadium about 14 years ago. And now I see here. Which one do you prefer? What kind of setting?
14 years ago or today? Let's see.
No, like what kind of setting? Big or small?
Big or
Oh,
small?
okay, I see
Well,
what you mean.
I think they're making a statement right here.
Well, yeah, one doesn't really live without the other one. I mean, it's like people ask that, you know, do you like the studio better or playing live better or small performances or bigger performances? It all works, it's all just equally cool and fun, you know.
Yeah, well, this is really,
It
really
is.
fun because, you know, we can see the whites of your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's...
It's more rare for us to do anything like this, so
Yeah, this is-
definitely.
This is almost like medicine for us because we play so many big places that we kind of don't get to touch you as much as we would like. So, yeah.
We have another phone call from Athena in Vancouver. Athena, what's your question?
Hi there. I bought the CD Desire Walks On in England at Christmas time, and there's the two songs on there, Will You Be There in the Morning and The Woman in Me, and they're both in Spanish. And I was just wondering why those two versions aren't on the Canadian CD.
Yeah, that's really... That's very strange because they aren't on the American album either, but they're on every other country's album, like they're on the Japanese album, the French album.
Everybody wants to know why.
Yeah, I don't know why. It was a record company decision. It kind of went over our heads like...
I guess we can all agree that the Unplugged series was a revelation for, especially when Neil Young got a hold of his old songs. And you've made the comment on stage that it's funny what happens to these songs when you let the air out of them, I think is the term.
Yeah, you know, take away all the kind of the bombast, you know, and all of the bells and whistles and bring it down to an acoustic vibe, and it's very a good song still. If you know then if it is a good song.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Just you and the guitar.
Yes, and you know if you're a good enough musician to play it too, because a lot of times that big production can hide a lot of problems that, you know, players have.
We have a phone call, and I think it's from Donna in Ottawa. Are you there, Donna?
Yes, I am.
What's your question? Who's it for?
My question's for Howard. You've been with the band since the beginning. What is your relationship with Ann and Nancy that you are still there when other band members seem to have, you know, gone away?
Well, they're like my sisters that I never had. I'm an only child, and I'm like an honorary Wilson. It's the music that keeps us together, I think, the pride in our body of work, and just the feeling that we get when we play our music. It's something that you can't replace that, and so I think that's why we're still together and we're still working together, because we love the music.
Thanks, Howard. What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Andrea, and I'm from Whistler.
All right, and your question?
I have two small questions. One's for the drummer. Don't your hands ever get sore?
Yes.
And the second question is, what's your best thing that ever happened to you on tour?
Best road experience, I assume, on stage.
That's right.
For me or for anybody?
Who's the question for?
It will be for the whole group.
Oh, for the group, okay. Best experience.
That's really hard to say. It's been a series of highs, you know?
Yeah.
Some lows too, of course. I mean, life is up and down, but the road is is pretty amazing. It's hard to describe to someone who hasn't been there, but it's just very extremely hyper, you know, and the highs are very high, very thrilling. There have been lots of them. I think maybe a really good one was the first night that we heard that our first album had gone gold.
Or hearing yourself on the radio for the first
Right,
time.
yeah, those are...
Just about had an accident, you know. Wow, that's us! Really cool.
And how are your hands? Are they hurting at the end of the night? A little bit?
He said, yeah, they kind of do.
They hurt.
Yeah.
Hands
yes, the answer
hurt.
is yes.
Yes, he says. Loves hurts, hands hurt.
All right. I guess one of my questions has to do with, we have great memories of you in Vancouver, just those 2 years you were there. Are yours the same? I know it was hard slugging.
7 years.
Yeah, that's right, sorry. Yeah. Were they good memories?
Oh, yeah. That was a really wonderful time. It was a really bad time to be an American because of the Vietnam War. But things were great in Vancouver, you know, I mean...
We used to tell people that we were from Canada because we were sort of embarrassed, you know.
And it was embarrassing to be an American.
It was
in a
more
way.
exotic, you know, too. And
Yeah.
so people still, you know, say, so you're from Canada, right? And we're like, well, yeah, you know, kind of, because we lived there for so long. and was even a landed immigrant for quite a while.
Still
it
am.
still is.
Still am.
So she's half Canadian.
I can pay taxes here, just like you.
That's right.
But actually, I don't really pay attention to the border. You know, I just come from the Northwest. It's like all within a couple hundred miles of each other as far as I'm concerned.
It's only just a dotted line anyway.
Yeah. Who do you like playing for better, though? You guys, I think. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that. I think that the American audiences tend to be pretty jaded in a lot of ways. It's so saturated down there with everything all the time and run by the media, and it's very commercialized, more so than up here. I think it's more pure up here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Much Music is way more creative and artistic, say, than MTV.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
more
MTV's
variety.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, MTV, you can take it, can't you? You can dish it out.
we have a Speaker's Corner question. This Speaker's Corner on the road has been here a week, and here's the question coming at you.
Hi, we're Mercy.
Aaron.
And Deborah.
And we're from Halifax.
Halifax, Nova Scotia.
We were just wondering, Heart, how long have you been together?
How long have
and how have you managed to stay together for so long?
What is the trick?
Well, Heart's been together before I joined. I think the original Heart was together in Seattle as early as 1967. I joined in 72. And,
so 18 years or so.
You know, I guess the trick is just not to pay attention to how long it's been, you know.
Yeah, and I think you have to, you know, love what you're doing. You have to love it a lot. Otherwise, it sort of changes you and it gets empty. And you have to work your butt off, you know. You have to be buttless.
Buttless? Yeah, I like that. Okay. To have butt, yes. We have a phone call from Angeline, is it? In North Vancouver, my hometown. Are you there?
Hi there.
Hi, what's your question?
My question is for Anne and Nancy, and it's about their new single, I guess, Back on Black 2, and I was just wondering how they got together with Lisa Dalbello, how they ended up collaborating with her to, or did they, to write the song or rewrite it?
Yeah, we did. We first got together with Lisa after her first album came out, and we were just in love with the song Wait for an Answer, which we covered. And she was really thrilled that we covered it, so we met, and we really hit it off. She's a great woman, funny as hell, and really talented.
Great voice.
As you know.
Incredible.
And so now we still get together a lot and write, and in fact, we even have another little side group with Lisa playing keyboards and singing called the Faux Hoes.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier.
FAUX.
Yeah.
FAUX, yeah.
Right.
Hart, thank you. Welcome back. Hart has signed this CD, and you can have the CD. Tell you what, I'll give you the CD for the gum. Give me the gum just for a second. Come on, come on. No, okay. What's your question? What's your name?
Heather,
Where are you from?
Canada.
Of course. And what's your question?
Me?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, why did you guys want to grow up to be a singer?
Why did you?
Well, we used to sing with our parents. You know, we had a real musical family, and our parents both sang, and our other sister sang, and we used to sing in the car and sing at Christmas, and it was just a natural thing for us to keep on singing. So.
And then the Beatles came along, too.
Yeah.
And then we had to have guitars after the Beatles happened, and and the rest was rock and roll history, I guess.
Yeah, but it was just a natural family thing that made us start, you know.
Welcome to Musicians. I'm David Wild, and more importantly, this is Ann and Nancy Wilson from Heart. Thank you so much. That was great. That sounded just great.
Thank you.
We love them, but we want to hear them talk.
That was uproarious.
What sort of scary creature inspired Barracuda?
Oh, it was a record industry dude.
The scariest of all.
Yeah. It was a guy that, in Detroit, I'll never forget it. And, you know, we were young and naive and really idealistic and new into the biz. We And still are, though. We're just old and naive and idealistic. Yeah, right. And, you know, he just like came backstage after a Heart show and just was like, hey, babe, you know, and say, what kind of relationship do you and your sister really have? Can I watch?
The implication,
and
being incestuous.
Right.
Needless to say, it pissed me off. I mean, just that he would degrade our relationship in a way, can I watch, you know? And so the words to Barracuda came out of that.
What's your first memory of music whatsoever?
Well, from the cradle, I remember through the bars of the actual crib, our mom singing lullabies, you know, the curly-headed baby song. And
same with me.
A lot of kind of bluesy, smoky voiced. Peggy Lee. She had kind of a Peggy Lee voice, our mom did. Our dad, too. Our mom and dad both. We did a lot of singing in our family, you know, like, but very first memories were of being sung to.
Yeah.
And a lot of music around in the house.
And what's the first time you sang together? Would you have been hearing like the Everly Brothers growing up, that sort of stuff, or no?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, we used to go
when we were
around
older.
a little bit older. We'd go camping, you know, as a family, and we have a third sister, Lynn. So we had the ideal three-part harmony situation. She's the oldest of the three of us, and we'd go from like tent to tent and sing Kathy's Clown, you know.
That's right, yeah.
Remember that?
God, you
we
have a
called
good memory.
ourselves the Prunes. And that was our first band, really. The Prunes.
Not to be confused with the Electric
That was
Prunes.
before
right.
the Electric
Much later.
Prunes.
Yes.
Much
They
later.
stole our name.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Now, we should explain, you grew up in Pacific Northwest, but also in Taiwan, is that true?
Yeah.
How did that shape your exposure to music? Do you remember anything from that time?
Oh, yeah.
It shaped our family by making us so close-knit that when we were driving in the family station wagon across the continent, you know, several times, back and forth to Camp Lejeune, Quantico, Camp Pendleton, out to Taiwan, we were always singing.
We drove there.
You know, we were singing as a family, so
Yeah.
our parents taught us every song they knew, and then we kids parroted them back, you know, and that's how it got us started.
How old would you have been when you were in Taiwan?
Well, I was 7, 8, and 9, so...
And I was like 3 and 4.
What would have been the first record each of you bought? I assume you actually could buy separately.
Yeah.
What was your first record, Anne?
Baby Love by the Supremes.
You started high point.
I was really young, and I bought Steve Allen, comedian guy, you know. There was a song called Road Hog.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, remember that?
Road Hog.
Road Hog, do or something. It was the, you know, little kid thing to buy.
You know, I always heard the Steve Allen influence in your work. That's funny that there's such a defining influence. For years, he went around saying he's written millions of songs. I never knew anyone actually bought one. This is the first time.
Yeah.
That's great.
The Gravy Waltz.
I always thought God would be a woman, so you're my first guitar god that I really do worship. But how did it all begin? You know, where women weren't playing a lot of rock guitar when you began. What was the first moment that you really even wanted to pick up a guitar?
Well, you know, what was it, 1963, when the Beatles aired on Ed Sullivan, or 3 or 4. And it was like, you know, Mom, can we have guitars? You know, so we were begging and begging, and got some guitars, and then it was like the Mel Bay chord book. You know, it was like, this is an E, and this is an A, and just learned the chords, but really because I guess we had a lot of music in our family, was able to pick up stuff by ear, like Beatles songs mainly. And at that point, we had every Beatle album, and Paul Simon of Simon and Garfunkel. We learned all the Simon and Garfunkel songs in our early folk period.
Now, I learned about angst and things from Paul Simon.
Yeah.
But now, guitar players tell me that he's a serious guitar player.
Oh, yeah.
What did you learn? Did he teach you anything about, from his example, about the style of guitar?
Yeah, I learned a lot of my finger-picking style from him. There's a song on Wednesday morning,
3
Sounds of
a.m.
Silence, maybe, called Angie. Of course, it was capoed way up here, but
you're
I figured
also
it out.
like, you know, 8 years old, so.
I was about 9 or 10 by the time I played Angie. Yeah. So really, he was huge influence stylistically.
What would have been the first concert either one of you would have ever attended?
Oh, man. When I was 10, my big sister Lynn took me to downtown Seattle to see the Chubby Checker Dee Dee Sharp review a whole bunch of acts like that that were on tour together.
Funky Chicken.
On the Chitlin sort of circuit bus.
The
It was
Pony, the
great.
Watusi.
It was great.
What's the first show you remember?
You know, I think it was in Seattle at the Green Lake Aqua Theater when Zeppelin was there. And they were just with Three Dog Night, which actually made it very surreal and cool.
Something for everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember Zeppelin and feeling like I was doing something wrong, you know.
Well, we left during the Lemon song, remember?
Yeah,
we went, oh, goodness. You know, we know what they're saying.
How did Led Zeppelin change your life, and how did you even first hear them?
Well, the first time I heard them was I had a boyfriend who ran with a really slippery bunch of people. And they used to all get together and have parties and do Reds and listen to Zeppelin.
Speed, right?
No, Downers.
Downers.
And whatever.
Which one of
Whatever.
these? One or the other?
Whatever it took to get you all slippery for Zeppelin. and I went, and
she came home and was like, oh my God, we were wrong about Led Zeppelin.
Really, the Lemon song's okay after all.
They're cool after all.
But then when Zeppelin 4 came out, it was kind of like an epiphany, a Zeppelin epiphany. You know, I mean, that was when we had Heart together, or we were forming Heart, and we were still playing clubs, and everybody wanted to hear Zeppelin, so Heart learned all the Zeppelin stuff. We did like a 25-minute long Zeppelin medley that included all these songs from every stage of Zeppelin thus far, and it brought the house down every night. And that's when I kind of changed from being the chick that sang the ballads to the only person in the band that could sing up that high and sing that way. And that kind of kicked me in the butt to sing rock more.
What's the true story of how Heart came together?
Well, I was in a band called A Boy and His Dog in Seattle, and we weren't really going much of anywhere. I think we'd reached the top limit of our potential, and so we sort of split up, and we answered an ad in the Seattle Times from the band Heart that was looking for a new lead singer and a new drummer, and just so happened that me and the drummer from Boy and His Dog were good pals, and we stayed together, answered the ad, and they hired us. And we just started learning songs and playing in bars, and pretty soon we were the biggest group in Seattle, and then the biggest group in going out to Montana and Idaho and all these other places. And then I fell in love with the guitar player Roger Fisher's big brother, Michael, who was living in Canada to avoid the Vietnam War draft. And I was so in love with him that I was kind of blinded to everything else, and I left the band to go be with him. I went up to Canada and followed him and lived with him and was in love with him. And pretty soon, you know, we had 6 good months of romance, and then pretty soon the rest of the guys in the band came up and wrecked it all. And we put the band back together up in Canada, up in BC, in Vancouver. And I was saying to Nance, come join the band, but she was in college.
Yeah, I knew I had to do a little college. Being a little bit younger, you know, I wasn't old enough to play a lot of the clubs, but I ended up playing in little coffee houses anyway for a while, and it was good. I knew that if I kind of branched off from at least one point in my life, that it was good for me as an individual, you know, to bring something back to the table. So it was cool because by the time, you know, I was ready to come and join the band, we were really dying to be together again and to write songs again, and we had a lot to talk about, you know.
And we had a record deal.
And there was a record deal.
Yeah. Then we made Dreamboat Annie, and pretty soon we got to come back to the States when that person, Nixon, gave amnesty to the draft evaders, and then we were back here again, and the rest of the story is known.
When you listen back to Dreamboat Annie, what does it mean to you? Because that's a record that, you know, it was a hell of an introduction.
Yeah.
That's a cool record.
Yeah, when I listen to it, I'm really amazed that it was a hit, because it's so different than everything that was, well, there it is right there. It was so different than everything that was going on, and that probably had a lot to do with why it was a hit. But it's so, there's songs on it like Love Me Like Music and I'll Be Your Song, you know, or The Soul of the Sea, you know, that are really long shot songs. And no one told us what to do. In those days, no one expected us to have a hit, so they said, just bring your little songs, whatever they are, and we'll just record them and we'll see if we can get it played.
Did your family support what you were doing? Because it was incredibly unusual for women to be pursuing a rock and roll dream then.
They really are smart people, and we're a very tight-knit family. They were really like, they understood about music. They know the joy of playing music, and they knew by then we'd already been in bands in the living room and played around in local places, you know, even when we were little. So they understood that we had something and that might actually work for us. It was a long shot, though, for sure. But I think they were really supportive.
Yeah, and there was a real strong current driving Heart in those days, too. I mean, we really wanted it bad. We really worked hard, and I think they saw our work ethic and went, yeah, who cares what the job is particularly, this work ethic is really intact.
One of the songs that defined Heart early on for people is Magic Man. What was the spark of Magic Man, both the lyrics and the music? What got that song going? Because it sort of exploded, you know, in your career.
Over to you, Anne.
Yeah, well, you know, that was a song about my first love, you know, and like how sweet it all was and how I just was so in love. You wouldn't know me, you know, you wouldn't have known me.
Lifetimes ago.
Yeah, lifetimes ago, I was like a little hippie, wifey type person. Nothing against that type of person, because I was one. Brown rice eating, washing the clothes and the sheets by hand and hanging them out to dry in the fresh Canadian air so that, you know, we would have a fresh bed at night, right? And doing all the stuff by hand and doing all the cooking and all this kind of stuff. And writing songs about how much I loved it, too. And one of them was Magic Man, you know. Cold late night so long ago. See, I can't do that song very easily anymore because it's just, like I said, it's another, the person that wrote that is just another person.
Right.
So it's very hard for me to resume that form.
So there was magic, but the magic wore off pretty quickly.
Yeah, the magic wore off.
Okay,
Yeah.
But don't forget about a lot of the younger girls out there that the magic is, you know, that they relate to that or they remember that time.
Yeah, they can.
For them.
They can always buy the CD and find it fresh and unchanged.
I guess we're not doing Magic Man this summer. We'll change the words around. Or...
Little Queen comes out in 1977. How does that album hold up for you? It was good for me. What was it like
good
for
for
you?
me. It was good for me.
It was a trippier record, I guess.
Yeah.
if I could say that. It was kind of a psychedelic record, but still really emotional.
And the track Barracuda itself really sort of showed you could rock as hard as anybody. Was that a big song for the group?
Yeah, it possibly is the song that will be remembered the best.
Heart, the Ooh Barracuda Band.
Yeah, right.
We've seen that in parentheses.
I think that song shows us at our most angry. And it was as pissed off as anything that came out of Seattle in the 90s, definitely.
That was the first Seattle sound.
It came out of Seattle in the 70s.
Well, it was the second Seattle grunge wave.
Right.
First one had, you know, Louie Louie and all that.
That worked out pretty well, too.
Yeah.
Dog and Butterfly is really a record that, even in its title, sort of defines Heart for me, you know, the sides of Heart. And I would say that Zeppelin maybe helped set up the idea that you could do both, and do both brilliantly and even mix them. Did you walk into the studio with that idea in mind?
It was a particularly bottleneck time for us as women in the rock industry because Cream magazine was starting to write about us all the time, and we had a Rolling Stone cover or two, and there was the question of women being relevant to rock and women being credible in rock. They weren't sure about us, whether we were credible, and so that album really was the one where we felt like we had to push. You know, we had to
Yeah.
prove ourselves.
Now we're going to I have a scary phrase for you. Welcome to the 1980s.
Oh.
A fitting reaction. What was going on inside Heart at the dawn of the 80s?
These strange cracks were forming in the cohesion of the band unity, you know, and strangely enough, the cracks went right down gender lines, you know, and that's how it always is in Heart. I don't know why. I don't think Nancy and I are particularly bitchy women, but it just
We're
always
not
seems to
that.
happen that way.
We're not that hard to live with. Really, we're not.
No, really, we're not.
No,
Really,
we're not.
But there formed this Grand Canyon between the men in the band and the women in the band.
Plus, there was jealousies because the attention was always focused on the two of us because I guess we're just the most obvious thing to focus on.
And the love relationships were breaking up.
Yeah, so it was a triple, quadruple whammy.
Yeah.
Kind of all through the 80s there. And then that's when we sort of went back and tried to, you know, the lifespan was done for Heart, so we went back and changed the band, got the new record label and the new management company, and kind of, you know, just, wow, we plowed through those 80s, man.
They basically took us aside and said, times have changed. If you want to have big success now, this is what you got to do.
Big hair.
Big success, yeah, big hair.
Big costumes, big hair.
Yeah, and at first it was really fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. It was theater.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's
we got
good
to get
dress up.
really super dressed up and do these videos and stuff. I think it was when it became the expectation that it got to be really a drag.
We have a picture of you guys in the 80s, and I want you not to feel at all bad because, just so you know, I had big hair in the 80s too. Look what happened to me, so count yourself blessed. When you think back on that era, when, you know, you had really it was the second coming of Heart, and having huge hits, what do you think about those hits? What do they conjure up for you?
One of my theories about the 80s and the music of the 80s that we all went through is that, like, the 60s and 70s were kind of defined in many ways by the shrooms and the drugs and the things, you know, the mind-expanding type of drugs that were going on at that time. And then in the 80s, it sort of shifted into more of a cocaine-type culture where the psyche, you know, the culture was more about an ego thing, and it was like the drug was, you know. And so I think it really kind of defined the time. It was a very self-centered, ego-driven time, you know.
Definitely.
And really a lot of high highs on stage during those times because we had those huge places, and there were
big hits.
Yeah, and there were
Number
moments
ones,
where all those big lighters were going, and you know, it was pretty cool. Never gonna come out and sound bitter about that stuff either, but it was a little hard to live behind because the image of it was so intensely unreal. You know, it was the extensions and the, you know, my feet hurt just thinking about the 80s, you know what I mean? The corsets and the, you know, all the stuff, you know.
My nail beds have never been the same since.
One song from the 80s that I just love is These Dreams. And that song was written by, it's Bernie Taupin and I believe Martin Page.
Martin Page, yeah.
Bernie Taupin from Elton John
From Elton John
collaboration.
fame.
Such an honor for us to get to do, make a hit out of some Bernie lyrics, you know.
Oh, yeah, like a dream to come true. That was originally written and offered up to Stevie Nicks, as a matter of fact, and she declined. And we heard that tape, you know, when we were listening, have a listening day of all these different songs that might be a hit for Heart. And our then producer, Ron Nevison, said, well, this is just a cool song, but it's no way is it right for Heart. And I heard that song and I went, oh, yes, it is. It's mine, mine. You know, I'll take
That was a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah.
Nancy's voice in that song was just...
Soundtrack for a film directed by Cameron Crowe, a great
Right.
film. It sort of became the introduction to Seattle for a lot of people. And on that album, there was a group named the Love Mongers.
The Love Mongers, that's right.
What was freeing about that? How was that different than if you had to put it through the heart machine.
It was like
Oh, so
unzipping the 80s suit and stepping out. It was really going back to square one.
Yeah.
And seeing the eyes of the people that came to see you, you know, in the clubs and stuff. Yeah. So we just did, we were gigging around. We did go back to clubs, and we played a lot of benefits. And no managers, no record companies. We made a record on our own dime. And
Two records.
A couple of records, a Christmas album and a
Whirly Gig and
Whirly
a Christmas album.
Yeah. And we had a blast doing it.
You also did some soundtrack work, some
True.
score work on another one of Cameron movies, A Little Picture, called Jerry Maguire.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you approached, you know, the score for that movie and how that
Yeah.
process works for you?
Well, I slept with the director and I got the gig.
The hell with this credibility stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, the first thing he said was, you know, there's just this one themey thing that I have in mind that's very much like Paul Simon, that really great guitar, you know, kind of like April Comes She Will kind of thing. And then I went to the studio and I put all the rest of the percussion.
So beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
That's where I always
live.
Well, that's where I get the whang, as Nancy and Cameron call it, the
Yeah.
whang, where you've just laughed and then you cry and then you laugh again.
Yeah,
you know,
the whang. So I felt like in doing that, and also Vanilla Sky, which we just finished, I've been able to, and Almost Famous, been able to really learn a lot musically that I can bring back to the table when we fire up the heart thing again this year. So I feel really lucky to do that.
Now, all the great harmony singers in musical history, the greatest have been families, but also there doesn't tend to be a lot of harmony within those families. You know, we have the other Wilsons in California associated with the Beach Boys, the Everlys, you know, who sing like angels together, but
they're like
don't actually talk to one another,
The Kinks.
apparently.
The Kinks were really fisticuffs, the fisticuff brothers.
How have you kept this love alive?
You know, it hasn't been exactly peaceful every single minute. We can get real frosty, but we don't fight, you know, like
Yeah.
most people would think of fighting. But this time of Nancy going and scoring and being with her husband and her own family and having her own life has been really great, a great decompression period for us where I think now when we get back together, it's going to be fresher than fresh. Giving each other space is how we do it.
When you hit the road this summer and you play Love Alive, I don't know if it was written about what love it was written about, but does it at all about the two of you now?
Well, it didn't start out being that way, but I think that that's one of the songs whose lyrics kind of have made the test of time, passed the test of time. They're universal enough, you know? And, yeah, you could use it to talk about Nancy and I, or you could use it on a global level, you know?
What has music brought to your life? First, Anne, what do you think music has brought to yours?
Oh, well, to me it's brought a core purpose. You know, I'm a mother too, so that's right in there too, but, and the love of my family is too, but a core, just central driving purpose, and it fills me. It's my brand of spiritualism, my brand of religion.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's religious for me because it's like music has all the gods swirling around in there.
Yeah.
And it's completely magic to me too. It's, you know, like you can create music and you can hear music, but really it's just in the air, it's invisible. So, you know, it just comes to you through the air. It's pretty hard to define, and that's what's so great about it. There's no...
And it's ever elusive.
It's elusive, yeah.
Now, don't be humble on this question. What do you think your lives have brought to music? Nancy?
Well, I think for a lot of women, we've brought a confidence to get out there and I'm going to go ahead and play that guitar after. You know, we've heard that so much along the way. And I think that's one of the most important things we ever could have brought to this, is a chance for women to, you know, kind of shed the shackles of expectation, not even just in music, but in the world, you know, and freedom, you know, equality, all those old chestnuts that, you know, that still apply.
We've gotten a lot of letters, lots and lots of letters from people who've said things like, you know, I was all set to off myself.
That's right.
For instance. But then I heard Love Alive, and it reached me on a level that made me change my mind. And that type of thing, I think, if you're lucky, if you're an artist and your music can help people fill their lives, be a soundtrack to people's lives in a helpful way, then I think you've really done something worthwhile.
Thank you for dialing us up here. My guests tonight are true rock and roll legends. They've racked up 19 top 40 hits with songs like Barracuda, Crazy on You, and These Dreams. They have a new acoustic CD called The Road Home, and they were my inspiration for naming my new band Spleen. Please welcome Ann and Nancy Wilson Hart, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
So you were like, you know what I realized as I was kind of reading up on you guys? You were the trendsetters. You were the leaders. Before Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden,
It was
up in Seattle,
way back before the wheel, yeah.
there was you.
That's right, Greg. That's right.
What is it about? What is it about Seattle? What the hell is it? The water, or what is it about all this music that comes out of there? Is there anything you can put your
Maybe
finger
it's
on?
all those microbreweries they have. Yeah, I think it's the beer and the ciggies. Yeah. It's got to be the beer.
Hard to say if there's any particular thing, but you know, I wonder if there was what? Is there a lot of angst up there?
Yeah.
It's
the gray skies, the rain, the angst.
Yeah. Get you humming
very
tunes.
Poetic.
Get
very
you thinking about music, doesn't it?
Yeah. Pain equals poetry, you know.
Here's a philosophical question for you. If grunge is in the 90s, what was happening back in the 70s? You guys were there, saw some of that.
Well, disco was a big, real big thing. In Seattle, the 60s, we had our own grunge. I mean, we don't like to call it grunge in Seattle, of course, but it was kind of garagey and kind of trashy, even then, with the Kingsmen who did Louie Louie in the 60s.
Really?
And Marilee Rush. Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
With the silly string and stuff. That was hip.
Yeah.
That was really
What did he do with Silly String?
Oh, everything. Everything.
He played with Silly String. Now you're talking microbrewery again, huh? Get a little of that Silly String happening, a couple of beers in you, and you have a good old time.
That's right.
What, at the height of your guys' success, did you enjoy it? Did you, like when you guys back in the you know, 70s?
Which height are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about in the 70s. You guys, you had a string of a number of hits.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like when everything was going crazy and the whole speed and pace of that era, did you ever like stop and enjoy it as you were going along?
Yeah, I think we enjoyed it. It's kind of a blur now, actually, but the 80s, no, it was great. It was really, really great to be like young in your early 20s and have all this adoration and be the first couple of women, you know, among the first handful of women, you know, actually doing this. And it was a very heady feeling, I think, in the 70s.
How did people treat you? How did the industry treat two rock and roll women? Because at the time it was unheard of.
We were a novelty at the beginning. I mean, what, 1975, 76, when we first came about, there was an unspoken law in radio that they'd only play one female artist per hour. Yeah.
Now that wasn't, no one ever said that, but it was just understood.
It was kind of one of those brotherhood like things. Your Joan Baez, or your Fleetwood Mac, or your Anne Murray, or your Donna Summer, you know, and so... And you're probably not Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart, either. Probably not.
So, how long have you two been playing together, then? What is the actual...
Well, the cradle. It's the cradle, Greg. Yeah,
really?
Since I was about 13 and she is 4 years younger, so you were, what, 8 or... About 8. 9. I picked up, well, a ukulele first.
Did you get along well?
65 years!
Yeah. Did you play, you were sisters, did you guys always get along well? Did you have, I would think working in the studio on something as creative as music, you have your ups and downs, yes?
Well, we've never had big cat fights like everyone would like to imagine.
Oh, come on. Please say you have.
Still get
Oh, please, let's have some sibling rivalry. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
That's what everybody wants to see from us. You know, that's the
Okay,
big
let's have it out
lesson.
right now.
Yeah.
You and me, outside. Let's go.
Yeah, really,
Let's see it. What do you say, folks? Get the monk bog out here. Did you have, have you guys ever had, what was I read one time Van Halen had to have all M&Ms in their dressing room and only, all the green ones had to be removed.
Brown.
Did you have any brown ones? You've heard that
it
too?
was the brown
Don't
ones,
take the
yeah.
brown acid.
Yeah, but see, that was just something that got jumped on by the press. I mean, somebody probably said that for a joke, and then it became real, you know.
Well,
like
did you have, now come on, be honest, did you guys have
like,
any bizarre
there was one
requests?
guy in our band that used to, in our writer, we used to have like, okay, ginseng root. Find a root that looks the most like a human form.
Yeah.
And, you know.
And if that wasn't there, by God, we weren't going on.
Yeah.
No.
And royal jelly and stuff like that, you know.
Well, you did. I did read that one of you said that at some point you felt like you got a little spoiled by the whole thing.
Well, human
I think
nature,
so.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of builds
You
and
should
builds.
know about that,
Oh,
right?
yeah, you kidding me? They're massaging my feet just before I come out.
I saw that car parked outside.
You did, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That's Jay's. I'm down the street.
You don't look
I know, I know.
Yeah.
But you don't look sloshed, though.
Huh?
You don't look
I don't
totally
look soft.
sloshed.
Well, that's nice to hear.
You look very clear-eyed.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Do
it's
I?
good, yeah.
Feeling good.
Hey,
Thanks.
what's better than that?
Who's the ethereal one between the two of you?
Oh,
Yes?
that's me.
Now, has that always been the case with you, Nancy?
Yeah, I'm the shy, demure wisp of a non-person.
I don't buy that for a second. What does
No,
that mean, though? I
that
mean,
was
are you
always
into
the-
like more of the?
Well, that's sort of what's classically been said about me in reviews and stuff, because Anne, of course, is the shrieking diva with the big voice, you know, and so...
Striding the stage like a shrieking banshee. You know? I mean,
Right.
God,
So,
give me a break.
So therefore...
Was that written about you? Were you ever striding the stage as a shrieking banshee?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be amazed the stuff they would write about each of us, you know,
Yeah.
like these writers trying their best to like make it be interesting and different and
Did you ever?
poetic. And
If somebody ever did that, did you ever, the two of you ever meet up with anybody who wrote something that you were angry about?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One time, there was a guy that was really deviling me in the press, and he wouldn't let up, and he wouldn't let up for years. And
A
finally,
local Seattle guy.
And finally, I saw him at this press function, and I said, "When will you stop? You know, this is really, really, really hurting my mom's feelings. You know, I can take it, but my poor mother." And I slapped him on the arm, and from then on, good reviews.
I think
good
Really?
reviews. Yeah, just like bam, just kind of hard.
I think we're lucky.
Not Courtney Love style, but
Yeah.
just, you know, a little bit hard.
All my bad reviews could have been avoided with just one punch to the arm.
Right,
It's hard to believe.
There you
What's
go.
the? Is there any particular way that you guys work? And is the studio that you work out of in a home or?
Well, we actually had a studio built in Seattle, because there was no like super mega world-class studio in Seattle yet. So we put one up, and we can't get in there anymore. It's so busy.
And what's the process when you're working together?
Well, we do songwriting. We sit around with acoustic guitars, and you know, like the new album really echoes that a lot. Some of these songs that were written on acoustic guitars now are, you know, done in a real small, personal kind of way.
Right.
So.
You ever do something and think, boy, that was just horrible. We don't ever want to ever.
Sometimes things get lost in the translation,
Yeah.
because you get art by committee going,
Yeah.
you get too many cooks in the kitchen, and production and stuff
Well,
like
who are
that.
those people? Who are those people that are telling you what? Who are the cooks?
The cooks are, you know, all the way from sometimes management and record company all the way to production and people that are actually... But
Anybody,
usually,
you know?
yeah, there's a team of, you know, it's never just as simple as you think when you get into
Right.
this thing. You get there and then you find out what the deal is.
So let me ask you this: if women throw bras and panties at male rock stars, what do males throw to women rock stars?
Poetry and chocolates. Poems and chocolates. And
Well, I wish
flowers.
I wish that was true all the time.
Yeah, well.
I
What's
got
the
hit
most
by
bizarre thing you've ever been thrown on stage?
Oh, the most bizarre thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, lots of
Impossible to
bizarre
say.
things. Let's see. That's a good one.
Is this going to be a while? Should I take another commercial break? What? You were going to say something?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that get thrown up by guys that are of a sexual nature, you know, like some tiny little black, like a little thong, you know. This is for you. Or
someone's already used it.
Okay.
I got it.
Let's talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You guys played there out in Cleveland. How did that go?
Oh, that was great.
Yeah?
It's a big, big buzz for us.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah. Who was there? Who did you? Who else was at the big event?
In alphabetical order.
We got to hang out with Chrissy Hine, one of our buddies from way back, and she's great.
George read that way back she gave you, faxed you guys some advice.
She had a fax that she sent out to all chick rockers in the rock and roll business.
Yes, everyone who was a female in the business got one.
Yeah.
And it was 10 points.
10 points, things not to do. And
like, don't fall in love with someone in the band.
Right.
Don't, like, go up to the board and try to use it, unless you know what you're doing.
Right.
You know, don't screech or belt, because that sounds hysterical and no one wants to hear that. So I go like, oh my God, have I been screeching and belting for 20 years? Now what do I do, you know?
Hey, what if we got it all wrong? You know, then what do we do?
Well, you did get one of them wrong, because you, as it turns out, both were dating brothers.
That's true.
You sisters were dating brothers who were in the band.
That's right. Very true.
This is like an episode of Talk Soup, for crying out loud. This is bizarre.
That's right.
What did it cause problems when you were working in that kind of configuration?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, Fleetwood Mac tried to do it too. It just does not work. It's just not a good idea.
Why, would the fights go out on stage when you're performing?
Yeah. Yeah, basically, yes, in a word. And
don't feel like you have to code it or anything like that.
Plus, it kind of comes home with you after the show. It's, you know, there's never any separation between you and it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah. And you want to be equals up there on stage with the people that you're playing with. You don't want to have some kind of elephant standing on the stage with you.
Yeah.
It's got to be just you and the people, you know.
Right,
and
right. Well, I know you don't have them playing here with you tonight, I'm assuming, right?
No.
And you will be playing with us.
But Howard, who is playing, is his 20-year anniversary tonight.
It's not Howard's 20th anniversary. Get out of here tonight.
Yes.
Here we are on Much Music, and our guest today is Nancy Wilson from Heart with Pony. We've got the dog wrangler here. Everything's all set.
Puppy management, yeah.
Yeah, so you've had quite an extensive tour. It's been quite grueling.
Well, yeah, we just got back from a promo tour in Europe, and then we hit the States pretty hard and fast, and we're just, you know, getting everywhere as fast as we can, kind of waving our hands and saying, we're here.
Right, right. So this has gone on for quite a while. You think that you would get used to it, right, Nancy? But I guess you never do. But something in you must love the pace. And
well, what's great about it is playing, you know, a chance to get out and play on a stage and sing and play and do what you do. The traveling sometimes can be really grueling, but, you know, you got to take the bad with the good.
It's good to meet you because you're such a Canadian success story, and it's hard to be a success in this country, and I'm sure a lot of young people who are watching right now want to know how you managed to do this at a time when it was really hard to do anything in the Canadian music industry.
Well, yeah, we were, like during the Vietnam War, about 18 years ago, we were, or 19 years ago, we were just a club band in Seattle, and a lot of our guys in our band were draft evaders. Wow. And we moved up to Vancouver, actually. Even before that, we lived there for quite a while, some years. Got landed immigrancy status, and oh, there goes Pony.
Hi, Pony. He's had enough of the interview.
She's tired. Yeah, she's too hot. But yeah, so we became like the #1 cabaret band in Vancouver.
So that's how it began?
And yeah, and we got our first record deal up there with a small mushroom label. And after all the major labels had turned us down more than once, of course, you know. So it was a really nice way for us to come in, because we were just working really hard. We were a hard-working band, and
yes, that's the
still
key.
Are.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah.
Do you remember when it all clicked for you, when everything came together? Because you have been so successful. Remember songs like Barracuda? Barracuda.
Well, the first album, Dreamboat Annie, did really, really well. And I think the first time it really clicked for me was, and Anne too, my sister, was in the car when we first heard ourselves on the radio. And we were just driving to the store, and on comes Crazy on You. And I'm like, ah, Screech, you know, pull over. I can't drive and hear it at the same time.
Yeah, it must have been
You know?
pretty wild. So it began with that.
And then we knew we were getting airplay, and the records walked out of the stores, and yeah, and the rest is heart history.
Both of you are so amazing because you look like you're 23 years old. I swear to, you know,
Jeez.
just beautiful.
Thank you. Well,
know? What are the secrets of keeping it all together on the road? And
try to sleep as much as we can.
Yeah.
Vitamin C.
Amazing.
Try to stay healthy, and we don't party too much.
Right. What are the interesting things that you've seen in your time? I mean, there you are talking about Vietnam and that era, and that's pretty much when you started out. And now we see everybody's harking back to it, like all the young people out there, they're harking back to that time. So what do you think of all of this kind of retro 70s, 60s stuff?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a kind of a new cultural revolution. Sometimes I'm worried that it might just be fashion more than real, you know, change.
Right.
But I think in the music in particular, you can really see a lot of the original ethics and ideas that were sort of born out of the 60s are now back with a more ironic perspective.
Right,
you
it
know,
can't be all that innocent
It's not
as it
innocent
was
anymore.
before.
But yeah, but I think it's really cool, you know, like the natural thing and the authentic thing that's happening in music, like bands like a lot of the Seattle bands, like Pearl Jam and
Isn't that funny?
Alice in
And there you
Chains.
were in Seattle
Yeah.
a while ago. Now there's this resurgence, this thing happening in Seattle, and you're based.
Well, suddenly it's very cool to be from Seattle.
Well, let me just show everybody your CD. Can I hold it up over here? There we have Heart, Desire Walks On with the ever beautiful Wilson sisters who keep on keeping on. And I noticed that you work with another Canadian gal, Delbello, Lisa Delbello. And you've known her for quite a while, huh?
We've done a couple of her songs, the last couple of albums, and we became very fast friends with her. She's just a intense,
dynamo,
amazing woman, and funny as all, you know, as anything.
Yeah.
And so we wrote some with her on this, and rewrote one of her old songs, Black on Black.
Right, I noticed.
Too. And yeah, she's wonderful. She's from Toronto.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So now she's doing more or less songwriting and
producing.
playing. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's
she
great.
had a solo deal with EMI, but the business part of it was a little too heavy for her, I think. Some people are sort of built for it, and maybe,
I think
know.
so, and I think especially with artists, they should not be in the business end a lot of the time.
Well, you have to really want it bad, I think. If you're going to put up with, you know, all of the kind of double-edged things about it, you know. So.
How do you keep yourself going? What refreshes you, and what gives you a shot in the arm?
Playing music is just getting off on it, you know.
Do you find you keep evolving as a woman as well, as an artist? And
oh, God, yeah. I mean, I think you'd have to be pretty dead in this business not to learn a heck of a lot really fast from it. I mean, our lives they can be a little insulated maybe, but I think if you choose to live in it, then it's pretty fantastic. There's a lot to learn from it. Well, you know, Ann and I have each other. We're two women and sisters together that have each other to talk to.
So is that what
Otherwise,
you do?
I'd be totally insane.
Well, it helps to have a partner in crime, and because you're blood related, then you easily understand each other, I'm sure. So
that's right. And our other sister comes along, Lynn comes along with us, and so we have our little unit, you know, little fighting unit.
This is good. Support system.
Right.
Well, I thank you very much for coming
Thanks a lot.
by.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck tonight.
All right.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to the show, Ann and Nancy. So tell me, 30 years to nearly or?
Nearly.
Nearly 30 years. Nearly.
We're not admitting 30.
No, okay. Near, somewhat in the vicinity of 30 years.
Like 27, I think.
In the general area.
Right, in that place.
Yeah,
Approaching the
So how's
proximity.
it been from the time that you guys started to now? How do you still get that charge?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Who did that? Wow, that came. What? She likes you guys.
Oh my gosh, you really like.
So you guys both have families.
We do. Yes.
So when you're touring, how do you manage the whole raising the family and keeping them in check and being on the road, two sisters, two families thing?
Well, it's kind of like dragging a great big elephant around with you. You know what I mean? Like she's got her bus with her 2 kids. I've got mine with my 2 kids. We've got nannies. We have dogs.
Dogs.
You know, so we just
you
bring
have the dogs
family
on the
along.
bus too?
Yeah.
Oh, where do they, go?
Well, we stop.
Outside.
Okay, good,
The
good,
bus
good.
can stop
Yeah.
if you need to stop,
That's a novel thing.
There's
actually
an
stopping
idea.
the bus. I didn't think of that. Thank you so much.
Or there's the puppy potty in the back.
That is true. Oh, see, that's when you know that you're a big rock star. No,
Yeah.
just use the puppy potty.
The puppy party.
Just use the puppy potty.
See, I don't have that on my bus.
Do you have a dog?
Yeah, but we just stop and let the dog go outside.
See, because you're keeping
There's
it
no
real.
puppy party.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Because you keep it real. Do your husbands go on the road with you as well?
Well, I'm not married to Nancy.
Yeah, my husband Cameron comes
Mr.
out.
Cameron Crowe.
Mr. Cameron Crowe.
Yes.
To you.
Almost famous,
Almost famous, right?
which you scored.
Yes, and Jerry Maguire. Before that, I
Mhm.
scored that movie for him too, and we both got to work with Tom Cruise, like the awesome Hail Tom Cruise.
Hail Tom
Hail
Cruise.
him now.
Hail Tom Cruise.
Hail. Yeah, and Almost Famous and Vanilla Sky was the last one we worked on together.
Awesome.
So, I like working with Cameron because he's really a musical writer-director, and he comes through that door when he does his work. And so we have a good sort of a shorthand, the way we speak, to each other about, well, how about something kind of like this? And we're from the same era growing up, and so we can relate that way, and it's easy for me to kind of like scan and find exactly what it is he wants, so.
Well, whatever the shorthand is,
it works.
It works because your music.
Well, so far so good.
She had to sleep with the director to get the job.
Because he can't fire you.
No, she has to
Right,
sleep
well,
with him
You're
to keep the
fired.
job.
Oh, I'm married.
Oh.
Darn it, you're hired. Now, Anne, in January, you had the band procedure.
Yes.
Which is
She's
different.
with the band.
Hmm?
She's with the band.
Yes, she's with the band. Let her in.
Let her in. Yeah, I had the lap band procedure, which is a weight loss procedure. It's not the same thing as, say, what Carney Wilson had, which is called a gastric bypass.
Right.
It's a thing where they make your stomach into a little, hourglass shape with a band. And it's reversible, it's adjustable if you decide you don't want it anymore.
Color coordinated.
Yeah, color coordinated.
Reversible, yeah.
You can program in the music you want. But it has helped me just eat less, and
Excellent.
I've lost so far about 70 pounds.
Excellent. That's what I'm talking about.
Balance between playing new stuff for yourselves and for the audience, of course, but also playing with such a deep catalog that you have. How do you find that balance?
Well, the stuff on the new album, it sounds really familiar to a lot of people. I mean, I think we were just talking about this a minute ago.
Yeah.
Some of the new stuff sounds so much like the Heart That They Know, that they've, it all works together really well. And so it's not that much of a stretch. And besides, we get off playing the new stuff, and we play a lot of the old stuff too. So, we just want to do it the way we want to do it.
Yeah, that's what really matters to us now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we could just stay home and be a jukebox.
Well, it should be about that. I mean, really, at the end of the day, we started playing music for ourselves. Nobody was buying record one. We were sitting in a basement or whatever, playing for ourselves. But for me, I find it gets frustrating sometimes trying to, win people over with new material. But like you said, if it sounds like Heart, then they're probably going to embrace it, and that's great.
We've had really good luck with the new stuff. People I think they're like, oh, that's good. feels familiar. So it works. It's working this time. In this way, it's working. We're lucky.
Have you guys played Sturgis before?
No, this is our first time at Sturgis. It's an eye-opener.
Have you been in town? Have you looked around at all?
Well, we got in...
Out the window of the bus, you know, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Don't go out there, Nancy. Don't go out there.
No, actually, you know, I think we're woman enough to handle this. But,
I know you are.
But it is an eye-opener. I mean, there's a lot of like people showing their butts in various different ways, and
yeah,
you know.
And the guys with the assless chaps, no, don't go there. Don't go there. No, but I mean, are you surprised when you got the offer to, you know, hey, we'd like Heart to play for 50,000 bikers?
Well, you know, not really, because I think that this is a really iconic celebration here. I mean, this is an American original, you know, so it's cool to get asked to play here.
Kind of like a great subculture that would only happen really in a way in America like this on such a scale. I mean, isn't it like 10 days that they do this for?
It's crazy. And you know, there's a lot of doctors and lawyers out there too. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, but you can't tell which ones they are.
No, they're all wearing the same uniform, baby. It's all the same uniform. That's pretty much this one right here.
This comes from our guitar player, Craig Bartok. I'll hand it over to him.
From his mouth to God's ear.
Yeah. Well, apparently what happens is why there is so much leather being worn and being sold and just generally around here at Sturgis is because when old bikers die, they just tan the hides and keep wearing them.
Why tan them? Have them look like an old saddle anyway.
Right. And so, you know, there's a lot of leather around here.
So if you're wondering what happens, was there a movie with Charlton Heston like that?
Yeah.
Where they were Soylent Green, they were turning him into food. This is different. Yeah, but no, instead of turning him into food, we're turning him into leather jackets.
This is my buddy Howard, man. I love him.
I love you, man.
I love you, man.
And you're very warm and protective. All right, a question. Okay, here's a question for you. When it came back in the day, the first time I put on the makeup, all right, I mean, it was people thought that was pretty insane and pretty bold, you know. I said, well, not really, because Alice Cooper and Bowie and even Little Richard, people have done it before me. It may still be shocking to people, but it's not new. When you guys stepped into the ring, into the hard rock arena, I can't really think of any other women who stepped up like that. Did you have any second thoughts at any point? You know, you're saying, hey, this is a boys club here, and, you know, have you ever had second thoughts about that?
Well, you know, like, we had second thoughts constantly, but that doesn't mean you're going to act on them, you know? I mean, you know, it is a boys club. It still is a boys club, but, you know, here we are. Deal with it.
Well, you know, we're both daughters of Marine Corps. Our dad was a major. Our granddad was brigadier general. And we had a lot of experience with, you know, the boys club, right? So without losing our femininity either, but I think, you know, we can just rock with the best of them. It doesn't really matter if you're a guy or a girl. Rock it transcends all that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you do rock with the best of them. You did rock with the best of them. You came out, you represented, and it was awesome. And you were women as well, which was very cool. That whole Marine dad thing, that explains a lot. My dad was a cop. All right, hello. All right, but does it, when you say it's still a boys club, there are a lot more women out there rocking, hard rockers, and any one of them would say, you were the the girls who led the way for them and laid that super highway out there that they were able to follow. How does it make you feel when you look at that? You see a band like Evanescence. That girl's like, you like that girl's voice? She loves you, and she sings her ass off. I haven't heard a singer that good since you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and but when you hear them say Heart, Ann and Nancy, Heart, 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 how does it make you feel?
Well, good. I mean, it makes us feel nothing but good. But you know, it's been really a challenging thing. You know, as Jerry Garcia would say, a long, strange trip. You know, it's been very challenging and continues to be.
I mean, I thought by this point, you know, that there would be even more, you know, girls in real rock bands out there, not just all girl bands or, you know, whatever, but just like Evanescence. That's a great rock band.
Yeah.
She's a great rock singer, and Alanis Morissette, you know. But there really aren't that many, you know, real rock singers out there. I mean, we learned a lot I guess, from Rock Guide, from Led Zeppelin and other bands. So we get to feel really lucky if girls emulated us too, you know. I think we all pass it on.
We already said it's a long, strange trip. Dee Snider says everything after 30 is a total surprise. All right. And Nancy, thanks so much.
They are Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart, two of the most visible and successful women in rock and roll. Ann writes most of the lyrics and sings lead vocals in 3-octave soprano, while her little sister Nancy dreams up the music. It's a successful powerhouse combination which has produced such hits as Magic Man, Crazy on You, Barracuda, Heartless, and Even It Up.
Okay, Hart, this is take 2, City's Burning.
But for the last several months, the Wilson sisters have been holed up in their Seattle, Washington recording studio working on their album with fellow Heart members Howard Leese, Michael DeRosier, and Steve Fossen. We spoke with Ann and Nancy about the early days of Heart back in 1975.
It took really a long time for us to catch on. We just would go to, you know, Allentown, Pennsylvania, and we'd get Pennsylvania, and then we'd go down to the South, and we'd get the South. And there's always Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Yeah. Let us not forget. Regina. Lovely place. Sudbury. All those places. And that's why it took a long time. It took about a year for us to really, I think, launch.
Growing up in the middle-class suburb of Bellevue outside Seattle, the girls felt themselves apart from their super-straight high school and found music to be an escape, especially the music of the Beatles, an early influence on them.
Their sense of humor and their kind of unique style of music that was always one step beyond, you know, always ahead of the time, always unpredictable, was always kind of a goal for us, always kind of something we tried to emulate in our own fashion.
The Beatles will be remembered as groundbreakers in both lyrics and style. And how does Ann want to be remembered?
Well, I'd like to be remembered as someone who opened the door for women to just do whatever the heck they want on stage.
Hi, this is Ann Wilson from Heart, you know, and you're watching Backstage Pass.
They're kick-ass rock and roll. It's about time we get some women rock singers.
Yeah, there's the definite need, and there has been that since we were little kids. I think that's the reason why we just started to do rock and roll, because we started so young that we didn't know what we were. You know, we weren't anything yet. We were just these little creatures with no gender yet. About, you know, 8 years old or something. So we just went, why can't we play guitars? Okay, you know.
Heart has recorded some rock classics, including Crazy on You. According to Ann, their approach to making albums is surprisingly casual.
Heart usually makes albums just by the seat of its pants, you know. I mean, we're usually writing at the time we're in there, you know, in the car on the way down to the studio, you know, 10 months before, songs that we wrote 2 years ago. And just, like, it's this real living and changing thing with Heart. And, like, we don't usually write all the songs and then really rehearse them and go in with it all set up, you know. Although I wish we could sometimes. It would be a lot more of a secure feeling. but I enjoy just letting it breathe.
Over the years, the public has seen a lot of rock and rollers try their hand at other art forms. Joni Mitchell paints. Todd Rundgren works in video. And The Who's Roger Daltrey is a film actor.
Well, there's a reason that people always do that, and that's boredom. Or, well, not boredom, that's too harsh and too negative. I mean, they just need to stretch out, you know, like, you can't go on all your life touring, make an album, tour, make an album, you know, the old hamster on a wheel. So you need to address some new areas of art, and yeah, I have thought of that. I've had a lot of movie offers and stuff, but none that I thought were right. I mean, it's just always, you play the Rose, you play Janis Joplin, you play, you know, you're an American-thon, you're an American pop. I mean, always as the hard-drinking, hard-swearing, you know, red-headed mama, which I'm not, you know. And I mean, there's got to be more to being a female rock singer than that, you know. I mean, there has to be one that you could like, maybe, who isn't this tragic person who does herself in, you know.
People tend to view rock stars as infallible heroes, living glamorous lives, carelessly spending fortunes, and jet-setting from scene to scene. Ann has a more down-to-earth philosophy about the so-called good life.
There's a fair amount of insecurity in this business. Like, you don't know if you're going to be rich tomorrow, or if you're going to be back in the street, or if they're going to hate you tonight, or what. And the downward spiral will begin, you know, or whatever. Choose any rock star, almost, with some exceptions. Well, someone like Mick Jagger probably is this person who has his little moments of doubt, you know. But, like, no one ever thinks that about him. they go, okay, he loves himself, he's cool, he's okay, he's strong and safe and blah, blah. The media, God, the media is just so damn strong. Just can convince them of anything.
Heart is the first hard rock band dominated by women. The group is led primarily by Ann Wilson, with her sister Nancy second in charge. The two striking Wilson sisters have an unusual relationship with the rest of their band and road crew, who happen to be all men.
Even just in the group chemistry itself, the guys and the girls within the group, it's a real dichotomy, because Nancy and I run the group, and so here are these guys that are just these real nice, sort of mellow guys who take it, you know, who can handle working for women, with and for, especially with.
Male chauvinism in rock music is gradually becoming passé. Women's artistic talents are being realized and received with acclaim.
Yeah, things have changed definitely. When we first got Heart going and did Dreamboat Annie in '76, even that recently things were way different. And it's been changed a lot, not only by us, but by all the other groups. You know, Yoko, she's even kind of being accepted now. Of course, there's different circumstances, but still, that's pretty wild for people to accept her, for her artistry, which they're starting to do.
With a premium on youth and beauty, running out of either is a problem that plagues all aging rock and rollers.
I don't know how much rock and roll can encompass, you know, whether, for instance, the idea of a woman in her 40s singing rock and roll. It's possible if the woman could do it, but I don't know if it's possible that the people would accept it, you know. That's one area of people's acceptance of women which has not yet relaxed that much. Which is some woman who's, say, 45 or 50 or something, like going up and going, crazy on you, okay, and everybody's into some other kind of music, you know. I mean, rock moves so fast that I don't know whether it will accept age. I think it better decide pretty soon, because me and Nance and Debbie Harry and Stevie and Chris and Chris Hind are not going to be young forever.
Are two of the most prominent women in rock music today. They're also sisters. Of course, performing with the group Heart, they not only perform, but they also write and produce most of their songs. Their latest album is entitled Private Audition, of which I have a special copy right here. No one else gets this. I have a special copy here. This is not like the one you buy in the store. This is special. And we're very happy to have them here tonight. If they're still here, please welcome Ann and Nancy Wilson. Very nice. Awfully darn nice. You're Ann?
Yes.
You're Nancy?
Ann's the brunette one.
But then you knew that, didn't you? Who had the vodka tonic? Would you just pass that down?
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you folks. How are things?
Things?
Things just generally. This is kind of an icebreaker question. How are things?
Things are horrible, David.
Are they really?
Yeah. Oh, no,
Ugly
things are
personal-
great.
oh.
Things are great. We're on tour. We're working hard.
Yeah, here at the Meadowlands?
Yes, that's tomorrow.
Big place, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
How many folks in there?
What is that, about like 18, something like that? I don't know.
18,000, though.
Bigger than? No, 18.
Only 18? Well, too bad. Gee.
A lot smaller than this
Yeah,
show,
I thought it was a big place, but only 18.
I mean, this is scary, not bad. That's easy.
Well, this is scary. I got to come back tomorrow night. It's a scary. Now, these were Elvis Presley songs, eh?
No, we wrote those, actually.
Wait a minute here. Well, it's not too bad.
Yes, those actually were written by Good Oli.
Now, was this an idol for you guys when you were getting into music or growing up?
Well, actually, I think that Elvis was a little bit before my time, and in fact, he kind of scared me because he...
Frightened you?
Yeah. Elvis scared me.
Yeah. It's an Inquirer headline, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was frightened by the king.
Well, I think that was so because, like I was more, like 10 years old.
How old are you now? I can't ask you that, can I? Sure I can.
Sure, 15.
She just...
32.
32?
Yes.
And your sister, you're not the same age, or you?
28.
28, I see, okay.
I'll be honest. I thought we were identical twins.
So if Elvis was not the, he frightened you, and who?
That's me. Nancy may have loved him,
Did,
you know.
no, because you were even young.
He was the big man with the big hair, and you know. But later on, pretty scary. Yeah, later on we grew to really know what was going on.
And who did you like after you got over your fright of Elvis?
The Beatles.
Yeah.
Tiny Tim, really.
Of course, he was a big man with big hair, too,
Yeah.
Tiny Tim, as I recall, wasn't he?
Yeah, but there was something kind of disarming about Tim, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Tim is still out doing it, isn't he?
yeah.
And he's also performing. But you know,
You just can't stop him. Whatever happened to Tiny Tim?
so you were giant Beatle fans, or not? No, that sounds silly, doesn't it? What? Now, where is your home? You're all the way here on the other side of the country, Seattle.
Seattle.
That's a beautiful part of the country, isn't it?
That's what people always say. They always go, oh, Seattle, yeah, great camping, fishing, pine trees, clean air. Yeah, but that's all true. But it's also a nice cosmopolitan place to be.
Yeah, it's a fine city. But now, what kind of living situation do you have?
Well, you know, we live in trailers. And
Do you really have a house trailer? Little double wide. No.
Like Nancy has a farm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I have a house in town.
Yeah.
And
do you actually grow stuff on the farm, or is it just a place to?
Lots of like vegetable gardens, and dogs and horses, and you know, dogs and rutabagas.
Oh, you have dogs.
Practically a dog. Yeah.
Yeah, a dog farm. Yeah, we need more dogs. People don't realize this. There's a dog shortage.
In fact, while we're on the subject of dogs here.
Okay.
Now, like we know from watching your show that you two happen to like dogs,
yes,
right?
I do. I have
Bob.
two. Oh, that's Stan. There's Bob. And there's Bert and Vicky. Yeah.
Bob. Now, some of our dogs wanted us to bring this along. Now, this is their taste, folks, not ours. This is their taste. And beautiful floral print. Here we have. Where should I hold this? So
I'm not sure.
Now, here we have some of the dogs. Well, this is just the first page.
Now, these are dogs. These dogs have an attitude problem.
Some of the dogs involved with Hart and Nancy and I. First of all, this is our drummer's dog, Abby, who is...
Abby?
Abby.
That's a sweet dog.
Oh,
yeah.
She's deaf. He's deaf, and so you have to stomp, and then Abby comes.
Abby is deaf?
Yeah.
Not the drummer?
No, Denny here's fine.
Okay. Abby, the dog, is deaf. The drummer is okay.
Now here is my dog, and her name is E.O., named after Elton John.
Oh,
that's his little nickname, and see, she's getting me the true opinion on what I just sang. She's got the headphones. Yeah, like I usually rely on her. Here's Blue. Now, he's the Rasta dog.
Oh, that's a great dog. This is a Rasta dog?
Yeah, he's into the ganja and stuff, you know.
I've seen that look before. What kind of animal is he? He's a great-looking hound.
He's a English Belton Terrier setter.
English Belton setter?
Yeah.
Never seen one of those.
Like, you know, just moves like that. He's got this beat.
Little loose,
His lips precede him into the room. Here are Wambi and Sina.
Wambi and Sina.
This Wambi and Sina, they are... Wambi, that one is Sina. Yeah, both of them are particular fans of Bob's, which is why...
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah. Wambi is our road dog.
A road dog.
Yeah, she's not here tonight.
Oh, she travels with you.
But she's been to New York many times.
Yeah. Well,
and I think that's it for the dogs. So here, please make sure that he gets
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ann and Nancy Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. The album is Private Audition. And they'll be at the New Jersey Meadowlands. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to have to break away, and we'll take care of that when we come back. We'll be right back, folks.
Heart is not has never been one of the more shocking bands. I think the most shocking thing about us in the beginning is that we were two women.
Yeah, big, bargy, strong women,
yeah, right.
Two women with the talent and tenacity to blaze a trail straight through the heart of rock and roll. In 1970, sisters Ann and Nancy Wilson joined brothers Michael and Roger Fisher to form a new musical family. Heart. It was the intra-band dating that would not only drive their success, but force a house divided.
9 out of 10 people will say, boy, I could never be in a band with my sister.
Offstage, Ann was dating Michael, and Nancy became involved with Roger. The sparks ignited several hit tunes, and Heart was truly a family affair. Their first 4 albums went platinum, and their hits Crazy on You and Magic Man were jukebox standards. But when the relationships collapsed in '79, so did the band.
Roger and Michael started the band, and then we ended up walking away with it.
The girls tried their best to revive the group, but their hearts weren't in it. After 3 failed albums, Epic Records dropped them from the label. Heart had not had a hit since 1979, and it wasn't until '85 that the girls convinced Capitol Records to sign them. There was just one catch. Capitol insisted they revamp their look. With teased 80s hair, glam new outfits, and a harder sound, their 1985 self-titled LP, Heart, was a smash and produced 4 top 10 singles.
And it's a pleasure to welcome the sisters who for 20 years have been together, and now they're celebrating their anniversary with the release of their latest CD, The Road Home, showing off some of the classic songs like Barracuda, Dreamboat Annie, Crazy for You, that they made famous. All of them. I could sing them for you, but I won't embarrass you. Please welcome Ann and Nancy Wilson, otherwise known as Heart. Hey, girls.
Hi, how are
Nice
you?
to see you.
Welcome to the program.
Welcome. I come from a family of sisters. I've got several of them. Let me ask you about this sister dynamic and how it served you musically over all these years, and how you've maintained this great camaraderie and sibling friendship.
Well, that's the
a
key
good
word, I
question.
think, is friendship.
Yeah.
I think that our friendship probably is even stronger than our blood tie.
That's
So,
interesting.
you know, that's how we've been able to make it work, you know.
And I understand
We
that you
talk.
You talk.
We talk.
And some teams can't talk.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And we laugh.
Yeah.
I think a sense of humor is like the
Yeah.
best survival mechanism I know
Is
at
there
this point.
Is there a leader here? Somebody who takes
Well,
charge generally?
It's me, definitely.
It is you? So when problems happen on the road, go right to Nancy.
Well, you know, I think it goes back and forth depending on the situation.
Well, she's really the president. I'm the vice president, so.
And those roles stay the same.
It works,
Heart amalgamated.
It works both ways. It's pretty mutual, really.
You mentioned the name Heart. Where did that come from?
Oh, that was a long time ago. It was called Heart before I was even in it.
There was
And I
somebody
think-
before you?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Up in Seattle, it's a very old band, you know, and they were called White Heart first, and then they just shortened it down to Heart, you know.
And Seattle is where you call home now, in that
Yes.
part of the country.
Always have.
Always have. And the Seattle music sound is one that's really come full circle in the Kurt Cobain and that group that's come out of there.
Yeah.
Tell me about the early days of Seattle music. Was there that scene around it like we know it now?
Well, before it was called grunge, like, you know, they unfortunately call it now. It was called kind of the Seattle garage sound before. Like, you know, Louie Louie, you know, those songs and some of the Paul Revere and the Raiders stuff that was coming out of there.
Jimi Hendrix was from Seattle.
Jimi
I mean,
Hendrix, yeah, although he had to make it in England.
Right. He had to leave.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's always been a big music city. It's
Yeah.
a seaport. It's kind of rough. It's
Not just
a
rock
very interesting
either.
place, you know.
Great jazz, great blues.
And do
know.
you share the same music taste? Have you always?
The two of us?
Yeah.
Pretty close. Almost, yeah.
I think Nancy is a little bit more eclectic than I am. I mean, she can listen to a lot weirder stuff than I can. I think I'm a bit more mainstream in my taste.
Tell me
I mean,
What do you
that's
call
how it is.
mainstream?
Well, I like mouth music, you know.
Mouth music.
Well, yeah, it's a band. It's a, you know, mouth music. No, that's the name of a
That's
band.
the name of a band.
Yeah.
God, gee, that's mainstream.
Yeah.
Tell me how the audiences have changed over the last 20 years.
Oh.
I think it's more, I think people their attention spans are a lot shorter. Songs are shorter. It's all sound bites now, like, you know, on TV shows like this, you know.
And you see a couple generations out there now. You see the kids with the grown-ups yet?
Well, it's cool with our fans because we have really loyal, long-term.
Well, I know that they'll be treated
fans.
today to hear you guys sing on our show.
And their kids, you
yeah,
know,
that's
too.
nice.
So
That's
it's
wonderful.
It's cool.
So Seattle, obviously, big music scene in Seattle. What inspires the music scene here, do you think?
Oh.
There's a big question.
Yeah.
Was it you?
That's
Why we did,
that's
Amy.
the most asked question now.
I know. It's all the flannel, maybe.
I think it has, it's got a lot to do with the weather because people spend a lot of time
being inward, you know. And it rains a lot. Not today, but
Yeah, you'd never know that it ever rains by today.
It's
so
a very
because they have
moody
to stay
place.
inside a lot, they learn to play musical instruments and start garage bands.
Yeah.
That's your theory?
That's one theory.
Well, it's working. I mean, God, name some of the artists who've come out here besides Heart. Obviously, the whole grunge scene, the whole alternative rock scenes.
Oh, well, Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix.
By way of London, you know.
That's right. Also some great oldies artists, the Kingsmen, Otis Day and the Night, who we're going to be catching up with.
I thought the Kingsmen were from Portland. I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
But it's a
Portland,
Northwest
Seattle,
thing,
it's
you
all
know.
the Northwest thing.
Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Oh! Cherokee
Yeah.
people!
Yeah. And I thought that was Cher.
Oh, that was Cher!
Yes!
What am I thinking? Indian Reservation.
You mean Paul McCartney was in a band before Wings?
What? I'm so confused. Let's go in here, shall we?
Okay.
Okay, let's check out. We'll be
Open.
back with more. Come on.
Yeah. I think we're going to get some coffee.
Oh, Elvis is here in Seattle.
He's in there.
He's in there. Let's find him.
That's Jesse.
All right, ladies.
Oh, Jesse, his twin brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
Sorry.
Tender subject. So here we are walking the streets of Seattle
Yes, we are.
with Ann Wilson.
This is
Why
one
do
of
you-
my
town.
What do you love? What do you love about Seattle?
I mean,
This.
what's this about?
What is this about?
This
Well-
stores like this, probably.
Yeah. Well, I've always lived here ever since I was about 10 years old, and it's just a place that is really a great place. 4 seasons, count them, 4 feelable seasons, and great people. You know, what can you say when you love a place? You just stay. And I've been on the road, you know, like pretty much anywhere you'd want to go in the free world. And
Yeah.
I always come back here.
It's a beautiful
It's
town.
very easy to be here.
And what kind of neighborhood is this? Now, why do you like this particular neighborhood?
This is the neighborhood where
Aside from that car.
this is the neighborhood where you'd say all the alternative types all congregate. And
Is Courtney Love on this street somewhere right now?
oh yeah,
as we
we're going to
speak?
see her any minute.
She'll probably be happening by.
Look out.
This is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot better.
All right, so now, obviously the road home came out when? A couple of years ago?
Strong.
Good stuff?
Yeah. Sorry?
The Road Home came out a couple of years ago, right?
Yes.
Okay, the Road Home, a greatest hits album, kind of an acoustic version.
Yeah, with some new music
Some new stuff on there.
But mostly acoustic versions of old Heart stuff.
Yeah, good album. Really good album. Now I know you have another project called The Love Mongers.
Right, yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about that, and why do you have 2? What's the deal?
It's like your pro bono baby, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. You know, Love Mongers is something that we can do for love. You know, we don't have a record deal. We're not responsible to money because we usually just play benefits.
So you don't even want a record deal. It's not the focus.
Oh, come on.
No, actually, we're looking for one now. We're like, because we're working on an album, and so we need to find a record deal with some little indie label, I think. You know, the Love Mongers is not hard. It's the opposite of hard. It's fun and just, you know, we just do what we want. We don't have to do any Heart songs if we don't want to.
I was going to say, does it sound like Heart, though? I mean, you guys obviously have a
it's-
distinctive sound.
It's different people than Heart. It's Nancy and I and Sue Ennis and Frank Cox, 2 friends from around here.
Can you hum? Can you? I'd like to know. Yeah, could you sing a little bit of something?
Love Mongers songs.
Because I want to know. I mean, I want to know. I want to hear something.
It's a Love Mongers theme, man.
The Love Mongers theme. Something new we're working on. Oh, hold on, Elysian. Oh, hold on. That's just like, except
we like it. It'll sell.
Big harmony.
I'm sorry, but that is the best espresso macchiato I've ever had.
Well, we are in Seattle.
Yeah,
Now,
and
was the coffee like invented here or something?
Yeah, that's it.
She would know. She's Ann Wilson of Heart.
I mean, what is it?
By way of Africa or something?
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. But what
Colombia.
is it? I mean, it obviously wasn't invented here, but why did it get so famous here? Why is Seattle known
Because
for
Starbucks
coffee?
started here. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's talk about summer tours. Now, obviously, you're not touring. Love Mongers aren't touring. What tour would you like to see this summer if you could go to any concert?
Oh, I'd like to see the Horde Fest.
Yeah.
That's such a deal.
Yeah.
You got all those bands for one low
Yeah.
ticket price.
I get
saw
to see it.
Yeah, and it's like it's got women on the bill and everything.
Yes.
So it's
Unlike Lollapalooza, which we were
Yes.
saying earlier.
What other shows would you go see besides Horde?
well, you know, I just recently saw Laurie Anderson.
Oh, she was great.
She kills. She
It's kind of a
kills.
performance art kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Uh-huh. If you have a chance to see King Sunny Ade, go see them. They're good every time. Getting bigger. Yeah, African Nigerian drummers. just very, and you know, me, I'm always out to see Katie Lang.
She's
If
great.
Etheridge
She's on
were to
tour.
come through, I'd go see that.
She's on tour as well.
Yeah.
With the sisters.
But
on-
I love guys, too.
Well, that's cool. But since we're on the topic of females, you know what? And Horde, in fact, Deanne Ferris last year, one of the Horde artists,
That's
and
right.
we got a video. Here's Deanne Ferris, and I know we'll be back to be in Seattle. It's such a Seattle thing to do. This is so cool.
Yeah, I feel like a Seattleite right now.
You are. It's Ann Wilson. She lives here in Seattle. Besides Heart, besides the Love Mongers, you also own a studio here in Seattle. That's got to keep you very busy.
Well, yeah. The studio is called Bad Animals. It's downtown in the Belltown area, and it's just a big complex. It's doing really great.
Millions of, I mean, everybody's recorded at Bad Animals, right?
Yeah. We've seen some pretty interesting people go through there.
Oh, I bet you have.
Yeah.
What made you want to do that?
It was Nancy's idea. She wanted to build a studio from the ground up, but we thought it would be cooler to go into business with an existing building, you know, and just expand it and improve it and bring it up to scale, you know.
Well, it's got to be convenient for you to record in, too.
It's the same place we did some of our really early stuff, like Little Queen and, you know, Baby Lestrange, and those types of albums were done there.
I'm sitting here and I've just got a trivia question racing through my head for you.
Oh, great. Let's give a trivia question to the audience, and when we come back,
Okay.
we'll give them the answers.
Here we go.
ahead.
I got to make it tough because a lot of people have kind of... So name 2 Southern-based bands that have actually recorded at Bad Animals.
From the South.
Yeah?
That would be non-Seattle bands.
I got something for you. Check this out.
Peace. Oh, that's really clever. I kind of like the candle shaped like a pig myself.
Hey, what's so funny about peace, man?
Yeah, this is cool, but we cannot burn Babe.
Oh, it's Babe.
We can't burn Babe.
Candle pig. That was my impression of Babe.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
My son would have a problem if we burned Babe.
All right, we've ducked
please.
into...
Back off the Babe
I'm
humor.
Sorry, I'm sorry. We've ducked into one of Ann's favorite stores right now. But before we go any further, we have to answer the trivia question, right?
Yeah, well, it's your recording studio, so
Yeah.
you answer the question.
What are 2 Southern-based bands that have worked at Bad Animals Seattle? And they are R.E.M. and the Neville Brothers.
Oh, R.E.M. I'd just like to sit in on that session. Is that cool?
Well, I don't think that'd be their first choice, but you know, they might let you sit in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
What kind of...
What instrument do you play?
No, I just want to listen. That's all I meant. I don't think they'd let me play with I get what you're saying. I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay. Anyway, we're here at, where are we? This is called Body Scent.
This is called the Body Scent.
The Body Scent.
And I love this shop. I just like this place. It just kind of resonates with me. It also is the only place in town that has the scent that I wear. So.
And that scent is?
Moroccan Vanilla Musk.
Oh, let's check it out.
Yeah, shall we?
No, everyone's going to be wearing it now that you've let the secret out. Give me that Ann Wilson scent, Moroccan Vanilla Musk. Where is he?
Yeah.
This was
You're
so
welcome.
fun. This was a cool store.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back here for sure. And thanks for hanging out with us here. We've been spending the day with half a heart. Half a heart. Ann Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. Tell Nancy we said hi. We're sorry we missed her. Maybe next time.
Listen, I got you guys a present while we were in there. This is my favorite incense. This is the chomp I was telling you about.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna love that. I got you a bit. And Amy, since you don't burn incense a lot, I got you a small box. You can sample it, check it out, see if you like it.
It's Nag Champa.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, sweetheart. All right, before we go, wait, I got to get a shot of us all. Let me turn this on, make sure I get it's rolling. All right, should we do a little Magic Man or something? Hello, Cleveland.
Cold late nights,
It's been fun. You know?
not so strong, you know.
I'd buy this act, you know? All right, cool.
No, are you a little nervous?
I'm on the show. I'm on the show.
Are you a little nervous about doing the show?
A little bit nervous, but I'm not afraid of him.
Did anybody tell you not to do the show or give you any advice on the show?
Oh yeah, everybody's like, oh, you're going on the Howard Stern show. Don't let him take your clothes off.
Everybody knows the group Heart, right?
Yes. Little Queen.
Right. Heart is a great group.
Barracuda.
Nancy Wilson, I guess, put out a new CD on her own without her sister.
Oh, and the rest of the band?
No, I think
Or
it's
did
just...
they kick the sister out of the band?
No, I don't. I think Heart is still Heart, but Nancy Wilson is Nancy Wilson.
Oh, she's just a solo effort.
Yeah, I always had a crush on her. I thought I was going to marry her, but she married Cameron Crowe.
You never got to her.
Never did. I didn't get to anybody. I was 19. Yeah, go ahead.
She'll be in 20 seconds, Howard. She's just
She's in the
tuning
can?
last string on her guitar.
She's what?
Tuning the last string on her guitar.
Oh, thought she was in the can.
You wanted to think of her there?
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Don't worry, Bolf. I'll get it right in a minute.
We all ready?
It's no problem, boss.
I'm holding the door now.
She'll be in any minute.
20 seconds.
Coming to announce.
Oh, there she is. All right. Hey, baby. Come on in. Come on, I'll paint your breast green.
Yeah.
You know you want it. Nice to meet you. What are you wearing, a Superman t-shirt? You a big Superman fan? Me too.
Well, I feel like Supergirl today.
I tell you, Nancy was always like a girl who was like into guy stuff. Guitars, Superman.
Yeah, because she was the, like, major guitarist.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it was her sister.
No. Her sister was the singer.
No, they're both singers.
You thought I was the other one. You wanted
No.
the other one.
No. I always thought it was cool that you married Cameron Crowe.
How'd that happen?
How do you get a guy like that? Actually, it was probably easy because you're a rock
Well, he
star.
used to write for Rolling Stone, so you knew him
yeah,
from there.
he was a rock journalist.
Yeah.
So what happened? He came and interviewed you one day for Rolling Stone?
I paid him. I paid him for a good review. I gave him some money.
No, come on, be honest. What happened? He came to interview you?
Actually,
instead he
a
came
mutual
on.
friend of ours introduced us. It was a matchmaking kind of deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good match.
Who matches you to
He's my
Nancy
manager
Wilson?
now.
Is he really?
Kelly Curtis. Do you know Kelly?
No.
He's one of my oldest friends in the whole world.
How would I know him?
Well, Pearl Jam's manager.
Oh, really? I still don't know him.
Still don't know.
I don't know any of these guys. We don't even know Pearl Jam.
Well, I was trying to get him to come on with me.
Let me understand something, because you probably had a lot of guys who came on to you being in
Yeah.
Heart,
Yeah.
and then you probably didn't trust any men.
No.
So why did you trust Cameron?
Because he was introduced to her by somebody.
Yeah.
Well.
See? That's how it works.
But you know these things. You know, it's an instinctive thing.
Did you go through a wild period where you banged a lot of different guys?
No, actually.
I would have liked to have been on that gravy train.
Standing in that line, huh?
Yeah, why not?
Gravy train.
Yes, I'm standing here. This is the line where you bang Nancy Wilson.
Okay,
How old were you when you got married? Were you,
behind door number 3.
had you gone through a lot of different guys before you got married?
Around for quite a while.
No, I mean, I got wild in other ways, but I didn't get wild in that kind of...
What'd you do, like drugs and stuff?
Yeah, I had my drug phase.
What'd you do, heroin?
No.
I thought part of the drug thing was to do a lot of sex,
you know,
too.
Yeah, why would you be on drugs and not have sex? Like, I don't get it.
That's the whole reason.
So you were wild, but you didn't have wild sex.
No, because I was very romantic.
You were.
Did Anne have sex? Did anybody have sex?
It's a sexy kind of show here, isn't it? It's very sexy.
So you meet Cameron on a blind date or something.
Yeah, like we were supposed to meet, but we didn't meet because...
But he knew you because you're so famous.
Well, he knew of us, yeah.
And at that point, he was a nebbish. I mean, nobody had heard of him except he was a Rolling Stone writer.
He was this, little kind of wunderkind, sort of semi-nerdy.
Did he write Fast Times at that point?
He had just written Fast Times, the book, and they
Right.
were developing it for the movie.
Right.
So he was like the starving writer guy, and I was like the rock star.
Did you make him sign a prenuptial agreement?
No.
You did not.
No, everybody...
You had millions and millions of dollars from Heart. I mean, you were set for life. Weren't you nervous that this journalist would marry you and then take half of your money?
No.
I'm shocked.
No, because...
He hit the lottery.
She did too.
No, well, later on.
But then later I went broke and he got rich.
Right.
Did you go broke?
Well, for a while, and then I kind of made it all back.
After you married him, you went broke?
Yeah, I was real estate challenged there for...
I would be really pissed if I married Nancy Wilson from Heart.
You were in the money.
And then she was broke.
Oh,
I would be furious.
What's up with this?
He's a sexy man.
No, he's not. He's a sexy man because he's
Take
Cameron.
it from me. I married the guy.
No, but he's not.
Who's gonna know how sexy?
Yeah, but he's
Cameron
not. He's not a great-looking guy. He's like me. He's not a great-looking guy.
Come on.
I'm a
Well,
3.
okay,
He's like a
maybe-
3.
Well, you see, I'm not one of these, what's his name?
You're not into models and stuff.
Yeah, that kind of
Right.
stuff really is not.
You're into a guy's mind.
It's not my thing.
Yeah, there's so few broads like you.
Well,
Trust
wait a
me.
minute.
I'm
Would you
into the
tell
more
me how long it
intellectual,
took?
interesting guys.
All right, so you go out on a date. You get set up on a blind date with the great writer
Set up
Cameron
on the
Crowe.
date. We kind of dated for a few months before we actually kind of had our night together.
Really?
Actually,
a few months?
Yeah.
Why? Because you're so mistrustful when you're a
Or
rock
you
star?
on the road or something?
No, because it was more kind of like, you just don't want to be kind of typical about it and just go, hey, let's go,
Well, you're uptight.
Because
I would have thought you were much looser sexually.
Yeah, rock and roll would lead you to believe that.
I mean,
I don't know, there's something to be said for the, kind of the restraint thing.
oh, please. Like, how many dates before he even kisses you?
probably like, I don't know, 5.
Oh, my God.
A kiss. I wouldn't even call those dates. Those were
But,
meetings.
you know, we were like working into it, towards it.
Where did he take you on the first date? To dinner or something?
Disneyland.
We went to a movie.
And how cool is that? Hey, I'm taking Nancy Wilson to a movie. That's probably why you made him wait. Because
We
like,
went and saw For Your Eyes Only.
don't you think that was the first movie you saw?
Bond movie.
First movie I saw with my wife was Lenny Bruce.
Really?
Yes.
You know, your movie was awesome. I loved
Oh,
your movie.
thank
I
you.
loved your movie.
Thank you.
I did.
I called Cameron about it, but he was too busy to get involved.
I know. He told me about that.
Yeah.
He cannot believe that I'm meeting you before he meets you.
Yeah, I know. But Cameron listens all the
I
time.
know, he's been a fan for a long time.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He's the guy's like always listening. I get up in the morning, come downstairs. He's listening to your show.
Where is he
Turns it
now?
off as soon as I walk in the kitchen.
Do you get upset when he makes a movie and like he puts a hot chick like Renee Zellweger in it? Are you always afraid that he might take off with her?
Run off with somebody
Well,
on the
you know,
set.
I mean, you know, if you love somebody, you can't help but kind of those things run through your mind.
Right. So do you?
There's these much younger, really amazingly beautiful actresses that he's working with. All
Do you
the time.
do
You're
you
kinda
go,
going,
do you go down to the set and say, hey, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I say, clear aside, move aside.
No, but come on.
My man.
Seriously, don't you get nervous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
So what do you do?
You know, I kind of go, well, don't let anybody like you, okay?
Do you keep his on a leash? I mean, you keep a tight leash?
No, they're in her purse. She doesn't even let him have them.
So the guy waits 5 dates to kiss you.
Right.
Then
But,
he
you know,
kisses you.
We took like road trips and we went up to Malibu and we went
And you
out
weren't doing anything?
on the beach and we were holding hands and we were walking around and we were
Could you like go on a
hugging.
trip with somebody in that hotel
And
room?
we were
No.
kissing and then we were hugging and it just
How long before he fills you up?
gradually. Oh, pretty quick. I mean,
Were you nervous because you said, hey, this guy just wants to bang, a star?
No, because I could tell immediately he wasn't that type of a guy. Although all guys do, obviously, but
Right.
He wasn't the type of guy who would just make it only about that.
And you would go away with him and have what, separate hotel rooms?
Well, no, I would come to L.A. I was like we live in Seattle most of the time.
Right.
I would make all these excuses to come to L.A. Like, okay, I've got these home movies on
No, but you said you went away on trips with him. And all you were doing was kissing. And then when you would go on these trips, you would get separate hotel rooms?
Though, like road trips where we'd like drive up the coast.
Oh, I see.
So it was just like for the day or something.
You would never
But
stay
I would, like,
overnight.
think of reasons to fly to L.A. to oh, let's see, I got to transfer my Super 8 to video, and the only city in the world where I could do that is in L.A.
I see. So you wanted excuses to meet with him.
Always like meeting up with him.
And so he waited months, and then you finally had sex.
And you know when that was? It was the night that Charles and Diana were married. It was the royal wedding.
It was that night.
Wow.
Yes.
So you had an amazing, cool night. Why was that amazing? What, did he feed you a special food of some kind? Did you say ahead of time that you would bang him? Or did he know that was the night he was going to get you? Or was it spontaneous?
It was spontaneous, but,
It was.
it was kind of like we knew. It wasn't even like, let's make love, okay?
Right.
Okay. Let's. It wasn't decided on.
Now, what are these new songs? What is this all about now?
I just, I was just at this guitar shop, and they said, hey, come play in our back room sometime.
I'm chubbed up. I couldn't wait 5 months for you. I would have to have you right away.
Now, you guys never get recognized by the...
Sexy man.
No, he's not. No woman of mine would wait 5 months for sex.
Please,
Let me tell you. Oh,
What
please.
is that thing what is they call that tantric yoga?
Oh, please. I hold out
That whole idea.
almost a whole minute.
But you guys you've never been nominated for a Grammy, have you?
Yeah, once a long time ago.
But you never won one.
No.
That's so ridiculous.
It's weird, there's...
Is it different playing, doing the solo thing or, having...
Yeah, well, I did it before, a long time ago in coffee.
Is your sister pissed that you're not with her?
She's livid.
She's
livid.
mad. Are you wearing a thong right now?
A thong?
Yeah.
I don't wear underpants.
You don't even wear underpants?
Oh, no.
Oh, that's sexy.
See?
It's
And
just,
you thought she was
it's too much
uptight.
to do. It's
You never wear-
fussy.
Do you have to wash?
Fussy.
But then you have to wash your pants a lot.
Well, no, you just, you just,
Right.
you get like 10 of the same pair of pants that you like to wear.
I
And
understand.
it's sort of like, that's it.
Interesting. Well, you're
We
adorable.
learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Now, are you wearing a thong, Howard?
No, I wear underpants because I don't wipe well. I need them. I don't want my pants.
You don't need to share
Okay,
that.
is it like the kind of the boxer thing?
No. I'm wearing very, very small
Do you
briefs.
do laundry?
Briefs.
Do you
Yeah.
do Cameron's laundry?
Oh, I love to do Cameron's laundry.
Is that right?
All right, listen. You're a great woman. Nancy Wilson, big fan of yours. And thank you for coming in today. And the new
I'm
CD,
happy to
live at
be on it.
McCabe's Guitar Shop. Great to meet you.
I'm so happy I got to be on the show.